the story of Soundiata Keita, or the Mandingo epic. Soundiata Keita, also called, according to oral tradition, Sundiata Konate, was born on August 20th, 1190 in Dakajalan in the kingdom of Manding in the Mali Empire. The story of Sundiata is essentially known through an epic with legendary tones told from generation to generation until today by griots. Dore Magan Konate was a king of Manding, an ancient kingdom in West Africa located between present-day Mali and Guinea. One day he received a visit from a hunter soothsayer who predicted to him that an ugly, hunchbacked woman would one day give him a son who would become a great king. This woman, king, you must marry her because she will be the mother of the one who will make the name of Manding immortal forever. A sacrifice also proved necessary to make possible the arrival of this woman and this extraordinary birth, the immolation of a Red Bull. King Nare Magan Konate was then already married to Sasuma Berete and had a son, Dankaran Tumani Konate, heir to the throne plus another daughter. One day, according to the prediction made a few years earlier, two Traore brothers, hunters coming from the country of Do, presented him with an ugly and hunchbacked woman, Sogolon Konde, Sogolon Keju, or Sogolon the Ugly One, whom the king married. A terrible storm, dark sky, clouds, rain, rumbling thunder, lightning tearing through the clouds, earthquake, precedes the coming into the world of the young king, whose birth coincides with the reappearance of the sun. This second wife gave birth to a son named Diata or Jata. The adjective Sogolon marks its matriarchal affiliation, intending to distinguish it from any homonym. Great celebrations followed the birth of Sundiata: drums, gifts, sacrifices. Then the griots preside over her baptism by shouting the child's name. Like many mythical heroes, children are threatened from birth. According to oral tradition, Sundiata was born paralyzed and walked on all fours until the age of 7. And according to Mandinka customs, if several children in the same family have the same first name, or if a child has a somewhat specific characteristic, a handicap or a reputation, for example, these children add their mother's name to their name. First name. The first name of Sogolon Diata thus means Diata, son of Mother Sogolon, the diminutive of which gives Sundiata. Added to the disappointment caused to Sundiata's father by his son's disability is the birth of Sundiata's sister, who turns out to be as ugly as her mother, which leads to a certain disgrace for Sogolon. She and her children were abandoned by the king, who married a third woman who gave birth to another son named Manding Bori. Her father's first wife, the jealous Queen Sasuma Berete, hatches dark plans to kill Sundiata's mother, Sogolon Keju. She showed frank hostility, made fun of the child, and rejoiced at having a handsome and lively son, already a good hunter, Dankaran Tuman. Soundiata's father, King Magan Konfata, renowned for his beauty, had 3 wives and 6 children, 3 girls and 3 boys. Sundiata was born to his second wife, Sogolon Keju, and his 2 sisters, Sogolon Kolonkan and Sogolon Jamaru. The third wife of Sundiata's father gave birth to Manding Bori, Sundiata's best friend. Here again, the hero's destiny is announced, since a soothsayer predicts that this latest born will be the right arm of a powerful king. On the death of King Nare Magan Konate in 1218, his first son, Dankaran Tumani, took power despite the deceased king's desire to respect the prediction. But before the fulfillment of his destiny, other trials will stand before the hero, starting with the death of his father and the usurpation of the throne by Dankaran Tuman, aided by the intrigues of his mother Sasuma, the council elders who did not respect the will of the late king, and the griot Ginangkuman Dua, who maintained that a king who does not have the use of his legs cannot reign. Soundiata and her mother then found themselves forced by Sisuma to live in an old hut in the palace's backyard and to eat scraps from the table. Going to beg for a few baobab's leaves from the regent, Sogolon is humiliated by Sasuma because of her crippled son, which provoked her anger. Deciding to walk, Sundiata receives an iron bar from the blacksmith, as predicted in a prophecy. After his mother suffered a new affront, Sundiata, at the age of 7, managed to get up and miraculously regain the use of his legs when he touched the iron bar. But the hatred of Dankaran Tumani and Sasuma Berete forced Sundiata, her mother and her sisters, into exile in the kingdom of Mema. She expresses all her bitterness to this son of misfortune, who is the cause of so much disappointment. This episode will mark the great awakening of the lion, which corresponds in the hero's initiatory journey to the heroic epiphany, the moment when his hidden life ends. Arriving at the age of 10, Sundiata is no longer the sickly and lonely child that he was. He becomes the epic hero as we idealize him, inspiring fear with the increased strength of his arms and his authoritarian eloquence. In exile, Sundiata was first subjected to insults, closed doors, and various vexations. This exile of Sundiata will last 7 years, during which he grows in strength and wisdom. Then, accomplishing his first feat, he pulled a baobab from the ground and took it to his mother. This prodigious tour de force led to a most favorable turnaround in the situation for the young legitimate heir. Yesterday, despised and the object of public ridicule, the son of Sogolon was now as loved as he had been despised. From then on, Sundiata will never cease to arouse admiration, not only for his prowess and his feats of arms, but also above all for his moral qualities. As is often the case with mythical heroes, he now found himself surrounded by valiant companions. At the forefront of this was his half-brother Mandingo, who followed him like his shadow, as well as his griot, Balafaseke, son of the griot Gnankumandoa, given to him by his father, who watched over him like a guardian angel and who took care of his education. Soundiata and Mandingo had as best friends Frankamara, future king of Tabon, and Kamanjan, who was called to become king of Sibi. These young princes from neighboring kingdoms who shared his games and who accompanied him in hunting will act when the time comes as adjuvants for the hero in his quest for the sovereignty of Manding. Among Sundiata's opponents was the queen mother, Sasmua Berete, who reigned in place of her son Dankaran Tuman, and who plotted to kill Sundiata. Vying the help of 9 witches, nocturnal powers, against Sundiata because of her destiny, as opposed to that of her son, the evil queen, saw her disastrous project foiled by the latter, who instead attracted the protection of the witches by his kindness. Mansa Konkon, one of the wise men, was bribed by the queen's mother, Sasmua Berete, who gave him gold to suppress Sundiata. Once again, the young prince, who did not know what fear was, triumphed. Continuing his journey with his caravan towards the west, Sundiata went to the country of Fauta Jalon, to the king of the fortified city of Tabon, father of his childhood friend, Prince Fran Kamara. Sundiata returned to Mema, where he was under the protection and benefited from the teaching of King Musa Tankara, a great warrior and king without offspring, who treated him like a son, going so far as to name him Viceroy, designating commander of the kingdom of Mema in his absence. Soamaro Kante, king of Sosa, then attacked the kingdom of Manding. Dankaran Tumani, fearing for his life, ended up fleeing to Kisidugu in present-day Guinea. According to oral tradition, Soamaro Kante led around 10 expeditions during which he committed many massacres. The inhabitants of Manding sought out Sundiata in his exile and asked him to take his inheritance. The young prince quickly becomes very popular with the Mandingos, who hope that he will one day drive out the invaders from Soso. His growing popularity worried Sumaoro, the king of Soso, to whom sorcerers had predicted this. Your winner will be born in Mali. To escape his vengeance, Sundiata took refuge with a neighboring and friendly sovereign, reigning in the south of his country. Soundiata was seasoned from an early age in hunting and archery. For years, he lived with the idea of revenge for the massacre of his family. One day, an emissary informed him of the Mande, or Mandingo, revolt against Sumaoro Kante. He gathered his warriors, an army consisting of 10,000 horsemen and 100,000 infantrymen, and launched attacks on Soso. Swadana Triban's sister of Soundiata Keita had been forced to marry Sumaoro Kante. She had discovered the secret that his totem, Tana, or source of strength, was a white rooster's dew claw. Nana stole the ergot and gave it to her brother. Sundiata did what was necessary with the help of the magicians attached to his service. He gathered the forces of different small kingdoms fighting against Soso, formed an army, and succeeded in defeating the army of Sumaoro Kante in 1235 at the Battle of Kirina. His enemy fled and eventually disappeared into a mountain in Kolikoro. Sundiata Keita brings together all the kingdoms to form the Mali Empire. He was proclaimed Mansa, which means King of Kings. During his induction by the Brotherhood of Mande Hunters, he proclaimed the Mandan Charter, which abolished slavery and was considered by some historians as one of the first declarations of human rights. Around 1240, King Sundiata Keita captured Kumbi Saleh, the capital of the Ghana Empire, and destroyed the city. He then took the title of emperor and sent his lieutenants to conquer Bambouk. Soundiata Keita is presented as a great administrator who developed trade, the exploitation of gold and new crops, introduction of cotton. He developed the exploitation of gold, copper and salt mines, which would ensure the prosperity and supremacy of his immense empire for a century and a half. He organized the subject peoples politically and administratively by establishing a solid military organization. The leaders of its armies are installed as provincial governors. In addition to his warlike exploits, Sundiata was known for his wisdom. His tolerance allowed the peaceful coexistence of Islam and animism in his empire. Although there were several variations in the epic about his death, Sundiata Keita died in 1255. His tomb was not known due to the Malinke tradition of never revealing where a king was buried. At his death, the Mali Empire extended from the Atlantic to the Middle Niger and from the forest to the desert. Soundiata Keita had 3 sons who succeeded one another on the throne of the Mali Empire. Mansa Ule Keita, known as the Red King, the peaceful and pious sovereign who extended the kingdom of Mali. Wati Keita, Khalifa Keita. The successors of Mansa Ule, Wati, Khalifa, and Abubakari will lack authority and will allow anarchy to reign in the empire. Today, Mandingo griots celebrate the glory of Soundiata Keita, 1190-1255, King of Mandan or Manding, an ancient kingdom located in Guinea and founder of the Mali Empire, of which he became emperor in 1235-1236. The Ghana Empire, which is not geographically linked to modern Ghana, began to crumble in the late 12th century after having dominated the trade of Central West Africa in the upper valley of the Niger River since the 6th or 7th century. A conglomeration of villages ruled by a single king, the empire had prospered thanks to a well-trained army and access to raw materials such as iron ore to make its weapons and gold deposits to pay its soldiers. For epic of Soundiata Keita, her life and her exploits come largely from the oral traditions repeated by the griots, the oral storytellers whose stories, told over generations, ended up being written down and then translated by historians Europeans in the 19th century AD. The film was produced by Siha TV. What do you think of this movie? Leave us your comments, subscribe, like and share. Thank you.